check. We're live. Let me turn this down. We are live. Let me switch cams. Hold up. There we go. Boom, boom. Mic check.
Yo, yo.
There he is. Oh, let me turn this beat down. I got this beat. Forgive me on the delay. Oh man, today's already starting crazy. Oh, can you hear me?
Crazy.
Yeah, it might be a delay, I think.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a good delay though. How about any way you could rejoin?
Yo, yo.
Yes.
Still a delay?
Yeah, it's probably a good 30-second delay. Let me see if I can restart it.
All right, cool.
Okay. Wait, I don't know if he's responding to the first. Okay, one sec. Whoops. All right. Sorry, guys, on the delay. I was rushing home from the gym and it just fumbling over my computer. But today we have RSONIST from the Heatmakerz, the man behind Jim Jones's album that transformed my whole perception about Jim Jones. I think it was called El Capo. Or Capo, excuse me, not Chapo. El Capo. Okay. Let me kick this Zoom back up and get it started. What's up, Clutch of Beats is here. Seymour is here. What's going on? What's going on? We got JPLTE. We got Tay the Hitmaker. Floody Boys in here. Master Meme. What's up? Pineapple Pie. What's up? Tay the Hitmaker. Maui is here. Tiny Askew. We got Sire back in the building. King Lemuel. Welcome back. We need more producer power presentations. PowerPoints. When will the kit come out from the Discord server? Which kit? I'm not sure what you mean by the kit. Which kit you're referring to? Let me know if you can hear the audio. Is the audio good on your end? Audio good? All right. It's second time's a charm. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. How you feeling, first of all? I didn't mean to show up late. I was running from the gym and tripping over my computer and everything.
So, my brother, no big deal, man. I did the same thing. I had to cut my gym a little bit short this morning to make sure I made it down here in time.
Oh,
cut
man.
like 5 minutes off, but it's all good.
Did you get the bench press?
Nah, today I wasn't doing any I was doing shoulders and legs today.
Oh, yeah.
So, no bench, shoulder presses, shit like that.
Right. Done leg workouts always make me like sit down the entire week and then I go next week.
Yeah, because I ain't gonna lie to you, my gym is crazy because it's 2 floors, but in order to get outside, you got to go upstairs to go downstairs. So when you do leg day, it's like after you do the leg workout, you got to take the steps to leave. So it's crazy.
That's intense. You got to go upstairs to go downstairs. It's hilarious.
Yeah, so you'll see people struggling trying to make it up steps after leg day and like damn near collapsing on the steps. Because it's like you got to go up like 25 steps and then go down another 25. You know what I mean? So
wow,
it's torture for people that do like serious leg day.
Wow. I want to welcome you. We got RSONIST here, ladies and gentlemen, from the Heatmakerz. I will say, what's crazy is that you literally, I want to thank you first. I want to give you the context as to how I understand your influence. One is, of course, Dipset is classic, but what it was is that album, El Capo, am I saying that right? Or is it El Chapo?
Okay. No, El Capo.
El Capo. See, I keep saying Chapo.
A lot of people do that because, El Chapo, but it's El Capo.
El Capo.
Jim calls himself Capo, so.
Oh, amazing. That one album, I'm going to say it to you this way because I understand you will understand it from a producer's perspective, is that Jim Jones from Dipset, like the early days, I was like, oh, he's like, like the Tony Yayo of the group, if that makes sense. Like not the 50 Cent. But then that album transformed. I was like, wow, he's better than all of them, if that makes sense.
Now that was the argument for a minute. Like, is he better than Cam? Is he better than Joel? But people have they become prisoner of the moment. So it's like if something's hot right now, they tend to question everything in the past. Like, is he better than this person? Is he better than that person? But to me, that was my best body of work, and I think his too. So everything happened at the right moment, man. To be honest with you.
Yeah, like once you really dig and you realize, have you ever had this moment where you hear a bunch of songs and you're like, I
Right,
like that song, that song, and that song. Then you realize Teddy Riley produced all of them.
right.
It's that same thing. It's like, oh, you're the person behind all these things that transform my whole perception about hip hop. That's huge.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Because and again, you can probably attest to this as a producer. Like, I just put in work and don't think about people that are thinking about what I'm doing. I just kind of keep it going until I run into somebody like you that, gives me flowers, and it's kind of like, damn, that's kind of dope, because I don't do it for the flowers. I do it just because I love producing great music. And for the people that pay attention to it, I'm happy when they give me praises for it, because it's like it lets me know that work didn't go in vain. It was like somebody paid attention to it. Somebody loves it.
Y- Yeah, there's albums, there's classics, and then there's projects that transform. Like, was that during the pandemic or 2019?
That was May. It came out May 30th of 2019.
That transformed the whole energy of the whole pandemic. Like that one
I think
project.
so too, man. I think so too. During the pandemic, like I was because I didn't have nothing else to do at the time, so I became like a workout fanatic. I was like on the Peloton doing 11 to 15 miles a day, but I was just listening to El Capo, and I'm because for me, like as a producer, I don't really listen to things that I've done over and over again once it's out. I kind of move on. But that was the first project that I listened to, and I couldn't believe that I produced it from top to bottom because it was such a solid project. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like that's a good way to put it. I think there's a younger producer that a lot of our followers follow. His name is Nick Mirror, for example.
Right.
And he made like 200 songs, we'll say. And then he said he only like five of the 200. That's a nuance that a lot of producers.
That's terrible, man.
I'll say it this way is that I was making an album years ago. And
Yeah,
I'm like, people don't.
2% rate of the things he liked. That's kind of terrible. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
I might be missaying the numbers or whatever, but I even made an album 2018. But to get
Right.
to 20 songs, it took 100. You know what I mean? How did that
Of course.
process? Yeah, how did that process go on that project?
To be honest with you, before El Capo, there was Wasted Talent, right? Which I executive produced also for Jim. But in the process of making Wasted Talent, we had a bunch of records that didn't fit. So we just kind of put it aside. And a lot of the records we had put aside, he was like, yo, we should do a project together, Heatmakerz and Jim Jones. And I'm like, all right, bet. So we start formulating the album. And as we're doing the album, it's becoming crazier and crazier. And we're like, so sooner or later, it turned from Heatmakerz and Jim Jones to Jim Jones El Capo, which is cool because either way, the splits and percentages still the same. It doesn't matter what you call it. But I just think he realized what that album was in the midst of putting it together. He was like, nah, this is kind of crazy. Like one day I called him out the blue. The album was probably going to come out in maybe about a month or two. And I'm like, yo, this album is kind of like borderline classic, man. So I don't know if you really listened to it from top to bottom. And at this point, we haven't even arranged it yet. And we still had two more records that we didn't do. I think it was Pity in the Summer and State of the Union we still didn't have yet. And I called him. I said, yo, this album is kind of crazy. He was like, yeah, side. And I said, nah, you probably didn't listen to it the way I listened to it. Cause like when I'm working on an album, I listen to it in the gym, in the car, in the crib, in the studio, like anywhere I can listen to it to kind of see if I'm bugging or not with certain records. And every time I listened to it, it got crazier and crazier until I had to call him and tell him like, yo, we're dealing with something different on this one. This isn't a regular project. And when I started to realize is when I started to see artists in Jim's comments asking to be on the album. Like I've never seen no shit like that before in my life. I've never seen artists openly ask to be on an album. You know what I'm saying? So I
Wow.
knew it was something special at that time.
Yeah, and you know what it is? Now that you said like the title change, that's a unique story right there. But I love when it goes Heat Makers, la da da, da like, and then it drops straight into the. It's almost
Yeah.
like the tag makes it more mystique or something, and it adds more value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me tell you something, man. I worked with an artist before, and I'm not gonna say his name because it's my homeboy to this day, but I worked with an artist before, and normally I mix my own records, right? Like because I kind of like to have that control over the record as far as like what it's gonna sonically sound like. But on this particular occasion, he was like he had one engineer that was mixing the whole project. So I said, all right, cool. I think I might have did 3 or 4 records for that project. So I gave him the 3 or 4 records. And when the mixes came back, none of them had my tag in there anymore. So I'm like, I'm confused because at the end of the day, it's like, this is what you're paying for. I'm not saying you're paying for the tag, but the tag is to let people know it's authentic. It's like, suppose you went to Gucci and they ripped all the tags out. It's kind of like, yeah, it is Gucci, but if anybody checks, they're going to think it's bullshit because all Gucci comes with the tag. You know what I mean? So me and him kind of fell out for, I want to say about a month or two over that shit. Cause I'm like, this is how I get future work as a producer. You understand? It's like, I'm not the rapper, so I can't get on the track and promote myself. Me promoting myself is putting my tag in the beat. So, after he realized what I was talking about later on, he apologized and, we're cool again. But for all producers, man, if you have a tag, that's your business card. You understand? A lot of producers will be like, yeah, I made the beat though, but yeah, that's cool, but nobody knows that. We're not in the era where people read credits anymore. There are no credits to read. You know what I mean? So your tag is really all you have as a like to identify the beat as yours. So, that was important to me. But yeah, so it's funny that you say that it's prestigious because, like I have to convince certain artists like the tag has to stay, regardless of
Right.
what. Like this is my business card. So
Yeah. And
for
that,
all producers, man.
yeah, I just thought about it as you were speaking is that now I'm thinking about it, it's like a call and response. Like how you
Right,
say Marco Polo, it's like a call and response, like
right.
Heatmakerz. And then we have that, it's called Pavlovian response. And then we're like, oh, it's about to be heat. Whatever's about to happen is about to be heat.
Because
Wow.
you've already programmed people's minds to when they hear this, fire shit is coming after. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like to me, you take the tag out. It's just not to sound like the sound isn't signature, but it becomes another producer. Once you hear that Heatmakerz crack music, it almost validates it for you. Like, okay, cool, I know what I'm about to hear. And I
Right.
don't think a lot of artists understand the importance of that. So
Yeah.
it's up to us as producers to kind of school them on it, man. Like, the same way a lot of artists have that signature, that sound like Jada might have the laugh or whatever the case is. If you get a feature from Jada, you want that laugh because that laugh is pretty much saying, this is the real Jada. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So I think artists are figuring that out now as far as like how important the tag is.
Yeah, and I was watching your other interviews that, make sure I had context and better understanding. I guess the
Right.
equivalent to how you made us appreciate hip hop again, not just rap or not just melodic songs, but like rap hip hop,
Right.
is you speak about Fred, is it Fred the Godson? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was my brother that passed away during the pandemic.
Hmm.
One of the best lyrical rappers I've ever worked with in my life. And one of the best people, man. Let me not just, you know, eh, keep it towards rap. He was a great person, overall, just a great person. So I want to say that first before he was a great artist. He was a great person.
No, I love that because you like to even keep his name alive in such good energy and such
Right.
reverence is like making me respect the person who I didn't get to meet in person, but like you're making me respect another person. And the reason I brought that up is because you mentioned how you reached a hard time or like got kind of uninspired by music, and then he kind of lit that fire again.
Right. Like Fred, honestly, Fred, along with a couple other people, saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. You know what I'm saying? As far as like Fred believed in me in a time when I didn't necessarily believe in myself. Like when music was changing and it was turning from like, hip hop, soul type of music into like trap and that type, it was hard for me to make the adjustment because you got to remember since I came into the game, I never had to deal with that type of change musically. So for me, it was a whole reset. Like, okay, cool. Record stores are gone. Music is changing. How do I make money off of this now? You know what I mean? Like, am I? And then you got to remember, major labels they didn't want any more of the hip hop stuff. They wanted the new shit, the trap and this and that. And so for me, it was like that's not my sound. How do I survive? And then that's when I realized the power of the internet. You know what I mean? Like the internet will help you find your fan base amongst the chaos. Like, all right, cool. Everybody's listening to this. let me target this audience and they'll bring other people that like this type of shit to me, as opposed to just trying to compete with the what the majors are doing and this and that. It was kind of like, I'm going to use my social media platform to find my fans that have been lost or that can't find me, and which
Um,
I've done over the last 6 to 7 years, if
I,
not longer than that.
I love that because the message that you put out over social media is like of helping people understand how powerful they are. And I think because you had such a strong intent and a focus and a resonance, that message cut through. When I learned about it
But
through Curtis King. Go ahead.
here's the flip side, my brother, because and if you're talking about the statement I had made about, like, there not being real independence anymore, a lot of people crucified me for that, man, because I think when I said that, they took it as he's telling me I don't stand a chance as an independent artist, which is far from the case. That's not what I was saying. I was saying, in order to make an independent decision, you need all the facts. You understand? Like, if I say to you, I'm gonna bring you to a club, and the club it's in a nice neighborhood, it has beautiful women, everything is good, and you make a decision to go based on what I told you. Now you get there and it's in the hood, it got ratchet chicks, everybody got a gun. You didn't make that decision for yourself. The person that lied to you made the decision for you. You understand? So that's what I'm saying about the music industry, is like, yes, we might think we're independent, but we don't have all the facts. So how can we make an independent decision?
Right.
You understand? It's simple. And I'm not saying that no independent artist stands a chance. Of course you do. And again, because when I made that statement, people took it as, oh, there's no money in the industry, he's not making no money. No, I never mentioned money once. I live quite fine off of the music industry. You understand? Like, what I'm saying is, I just need definitive answers. That's it.
Yeah, from my perspective, it came across as more so you were like waking people up. Like, look, you guys aren't as independent as you think. Maybe because I live like like I had to, what did we say? Hunt what we kill or whatever. Kill what we hunt or whatever.
Eat what you kill.
Eat what you kill. My brain went
Right.
blank for a second. That's Jim Brain freezing my brain.
No worries, my brother.
And literally been doing this for 9 years with no boss. God is the only one I'm serving. But it's just that people who live that entrepreneurship think
Right.
completely differently than people who are looking for jobs in the music industry
A million percent.
under independence. I would love to, tap into your mindset about
As
that, like your
far as
perspective.
on what, independence or what?
Um,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I guess we could start with just how you perceive the music industry, because I have a lot of beliefs that align with yours, which is like I'll give you context before I ask you the question. Is in Web3, for example, with NFTs and all that in crypto, when Tory Lane
Right.
sold his album for like $1 and 1 million people bought it. I was
Right.
there with my mentor. He's an entertainment lawyer for like 25 years. Shout out to Chris Moyer. He taught me a lot in like a short amount of time. And what
Right.
we learned is that Sony was in Web3, blockchain technology. I think Warner was already there, meaning like all the people who
Right.
thought they were going to be like away from the music industry were
Right.
buying into companies that were founded by the music industry.
All right. So let me, since we're talking about this, let me ask you a couple questions, right? Why would Jay-Z and Beyonce start their own streaming platform years ago, which is Tidal? Why would they do that? You ever ask yourself that question?
No, I never
They
sat to
didn't,
think.
they didn't they didn't need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. I mean, which they did, but what I'm saying is, they could have easily just put their music up on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Google Play, whatever it is, but they said, no, we need our own platform. Why is that? You think they just did it just for shits and giggles? No, they understood what was happening around them, right? So when I say certain things, you just have, not you, but the public, they just have to think, you've seen this happen before your own eyes. Like, when you've seen all these artists come together and buy this platform, did anybody ever ask themselves why? Or how about, why is everybody trying to buy other people's publishing right now? Did anybody ever ask themselves that question? They know something that we don't know. So they're ahead of the game. So when they're offering people 20, 30, 40, 50 million for their publishing, they know a plan that we don't know yet. And by the time we figure it out, our pub is gone. You understand? When I tell you this is a fact. There are companies, well, hedge fund companies, that are funding people $300 to $400 to $500 million just to go out and buy publishing. This is a fact. This is not something that I'm making up. This is a fact. You understand? So ask yourself that question. Why? Why is publishing all of a sudden for the last 4 to 5 years so important to these people? I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm saying these are questions you got to ask yourself, because they're not doing it just to do it. There's a reason behind it. So if we don't ask ourselves those questions, when shit hits the fan, we're going to be like, yo, what just happened? My publishing is gone. They gave me a couple million, but that couple million would have been worth about 50 million right now if I'd have held on to my shit. But we won't know until it's too late.
No, I love that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, my brother.
No, I love that you preach ownership and understanding people's value. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of an analogy. You know, like when you break up with somebody and then you're in that really low, self-esteem state.
Right.
And then you'll be dating whoever because they're just around.
Right.
It's like, remember, king, you're a king. You know, you do this, you're a great person. And then it's like, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, think about it, man. If somebody's offering you a shitload of money when the money might have not been that good over the last year or two, you might jump and take it. You understand? Like, to be honest with you, if somebody would have offered me money for my publishing around the time that my type of music was switching into trap, I would have probably sold it, because I'd have probably been like, damn, I don't know if I'll be able to make this type of money again. But lo and behold, fast forward to now, we're about 11, 12 years later. Hip hop, soul, and all that shit is back. This is what people are like. I don't know if you see the game shifting, but the game is shifting now as far as like, it's not all trap, it's not all drill. If you listen to a lot of the new shit that's popping now, like you listen to Meek Mill and Ross new record, that's a hip hop record. You know what I'm saying? And it's getting a shitload of views. You look at Drake, 8 a.m. in Charlotte, that's a hip hop record. And that shit is 5-6 million views in already after like a week. I'm just saying that to say the game is slowly shifting back around. It's not all trap. It's not all drill. The shit is starting to balance out. And this is where I thrive at. You know what I'm saying?
I love
and
that.
I would like to think that El Capo had a hand in that.
That's
in some way, shape, or fashion.
Yeah, I'll say it as a person who didn't even know your whole story. That influenced me to the point where it was shocking how good it was. It was almost like the time when I think I first heard, what was that, Boblo Boat by Royce the 5'9". And I was like, wow, this is like hip hop. And then you came out with a whole project that was like this. I think what you're articulating too is that we went from, Dipset, where it's like rappers, like they got bars. Then it went to like singing because of Lil Wayne and then Drake. But then it's back to bars. Why is, Red, like J. Cole, Kendrick, they're at the top because they actually rap. They're not like singing.
Right. It lasts the test of time. Like, to me, I always tell artists, when you do a record, picture yourself performing this record in your late 40s, early 50s. If you can picture that, then okay, cool, keep making a record. But if you make a record that you're going to be ashamed to perform in the next 15 to 20 years, it's like, why make it? Because that's where a lot of artists make their money from on the back end of their career, is shows. And this is no knock to like Lil Pump, but can you imagine Lil Pump in his early 50s doing Gucci Gang? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Dude, like certain records, like, and then his fan base will be his age. So if he's in his late 40s and his fan base is in their late 40s and they got older kids and maybe grandkids, you think they want to go to a concert singing Gucci Gang? Like, some things don't add up. And I'm not knocking that record. It's good for the time it came out and for the demographic it came out with. But as far as the subject matter of the song, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, it gets dated fast.
Yeah. This is how I can tell that you're of a different cloth, is that, you know what it is with the folks now is they need immediate gratification. Like, even on social media, they need their video to hit 30,000 views today. It's like, what if your video?
Hence the name Instagram, Insta, everything is fast. Everything is now. You know what I mean? Like, so instantaneous. Everybody wants it right now. You put up a picture, you want to see the results right now. So you put up a song, you want compliments right now. It's like, that's the world we live in. So it's like, it's hard to make music in this world that lasts, because even when I put out El Capo, 2 months later, was the next album. I'm like, God damn, I just gave y'all 16 records of fire. Like, you can't let this digest for a minute. But I understand how the world works. It's kind of like, You gave us something good, give us more. Instead of let me sit with this and enjoy it. And like when people hear an album for the first time and they tell me whether or not it's good, I'm like, how can you judge an album off of one listen? You know what I mean? Like I've had albums in my car that by the time I get to track 12, it might be 2 months later and I fall in love with that record because I never got a chance to get to track 12 because I love tracks 1, 7, and 9. So I've been repeating those for a couple weeks. And then by the time I get to 12, I'm like, oh shit, this is even better than track 1. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
don't understand how people listen to music and they process it so fast, like, yo, this is terrible or this is a classic. If I listen to a certain album in the wrong mood, I hear it wrong. You understand? Like if
Mm.
the album is meant for like to just zone out and vibe out to, and I'm listening to it with a different mind frame, the songs aren't going to click to me. But if I'm listening to it in the mind frame of exactly what the album was meant for, I'm going to appreciate it more. So I can't make a judgment off of any body of work within the first week that's been out. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you if I
Right.
like it or not, but I can't tell you if it's a classic yet.
That's deep. No, that's really deep. You have me really thinking because I felt that way about Future's album. And I'm like, I was on that frequency though. I was on his type of mindset at that time and
Right.
Jack Harlow's mindset. So those songs made sense. But then when I, started getting serious with a relationship and got into like, I have a fiance now who's upstairs and a beautiful child. It's like I can't relate with that anymore. You know,
Congratulations, my brother. I
oh, I'm
got I
blessed.
got I got married it was last February, February 22nd, 2022.
Oh, congrats.
Well, thank you, my
Congratulations.
brother.
Oh, it's
And the new baby too, man. I seen on your page at your wife is your fiance's pregnant, right? Or did she have the baby already?
oh, he's upstairs. He's out. He's cooked. He's
Oh, you're
fully.
good. Okay, yeah. Well, okay, congratulations. I didn't know. I thought she might
Thank
have
you.
still been.
Yeah, I just don't post
Congratulations.
them. People are evil online. That's one thing I learned
No,
is
no, don't post that, man. I don't like. I have a 6-year-old daughter. I've never posted on my page because once you post things, you're opening up the floor for public opinion, which I don't really care about when it comes to my kids. You know what I mean? Like I don't care about your opinion when it comes to my kids, so I'm not gonna post that.
right.
So I get you on that.
Yeah, it's like we have nothing to prove. Once you have a child, nothing to prove.
Right, right,
No, I love your mindset, and I would just want to help these folks understand is that you think long term. It's like how do we think about our value long term? Publishing, again, my mentor was an entertainment lawyer, and we talked to a lot of people who were in the publishing world too. But
right.
let's kind of go backwards a little bit to publishing. Is that I did a video from the response to your video real quick. I saw it on Curtis King's live, and then I was like, "This is a good question that you brought up." It's like, how much is a stream? So I dug all deep, and I made this video. And long story short is that the music industry, I think publishing guys are coming in because right now I think we're at 32 to 35 billion in revenue, and they
Right.
see it projected up to 47 billion by I think 2025 or 27.
And hence why everybody's buying everybody else's publishing. Go ahead.
Yep, and I think the average return or the kind of basal return is like 15%. It's like you can't even get 15% with the S&P 500 or that's pretty high of a return. So
Right. And here's the thing, music is one of the few products that's forever. You understand? Like back in the days, if you pressed up an album or you pressed up, an album on a CD or a cassette or a vinyl, whatever it was, it had a limited amount of shelf life. Once they stopped pressing it up, it was done. Now, music is forever, and they understand that. Like, oh shit, even if this artist didn't make me no money in the last 5 to 10 years, when he passes away, everybody's gonna listen to his shit. It's gonna go through the roof. So let's just grab it anyway. They look at it like that. You know what I mean? They look at it as straight numbers and business. It's not, they have no personal or emotional attachments when it comes to these songs that we created over the years. They're like, okay, cool, this record generates this. So in the next 10 years, it should generate this. And if something happens to this guy and he passes away or he goes viral or whatever, it'll stream some. You know what? Fuck it, let's buy it. And they treat it straight like business. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem to me is that a lot of us have treated it like something special that we created, and then other people get their hands on it and it's just numbers, which is cool. I understand it's a business, but a lot of us like music, and not to sound cliche, but music saved our lives, man. Like I grew up in the Bronx where I couldn't tell you what I'd be doing if it wasn't for music. Like I went to Howard University for architecture, but I got kicked out of Howard and I came home with a baby on the way, and I really if it wasn't for music, I don't know what I would have did. So for me, it's like I take music a little bit more personal than the average person because I don't really like to collab with a lot of other producers because I feel like, again, we might be in different headspaces when it comes time to sit in front of that machine and make something. You know what I'm saying? So if you had the best day of your life and I had the worst day of my life, what type of vibe are we going to make together? Nothing good. We on two different frequencies at that time. So I'd rather be a fan of a producer. Like if I like your music, I'll support your shit all day and keep listening. But as far as collaborating, it never made sense to me when it comes to production, unless you're just trying to get your name on a placement. I get that, but I look way further into music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I noticed too. You just reminded you're pulling so many thoughts. Is Drake's last album, For All the Dogs. I realize
Right.
he doesn't sample as much, and I think because he wants to keep his ownership for one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But two, Drake was known as like the guy who came and did the hook, and you kind of did that feature that way. Now, over time, did you notice how Drake like stopped pulling in other folks? I might be wrong about that. That might not be accurate.
Production wise.
As far as features,
Oh, well, I mean, this album, he has a nice amount of features, right? I seen
true.
Yachty, Sexy Red, who did he have? He had a few features on this album, but he also had like 20 something fucking records. So Drake just understands that the more music you put out, the more money you're gonna make. If people have more Drake records to run through, that's exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna listen to everything over and over and over. And he understands that if I give them 10 records, cool, they're gonna listen to those 10 records on repeat. But if I give them 23 records, they're gonna listen to those 23 records on repeat because I'm that popular. So he takes full advantage of it because I remember years ago, I don't know if it was the Views album, one of those albums when he had put about 20 something records. I'm like, why would he put so much records on the album? But then I started to realize, like, with streaming and all that shit, like, it makes perfect sense because it's Drake. They're going to make sure they listen to everything a few
Right,
times. So why not take advantage of that and collect all the money if you can? So I get
right.
his approach.
This is interesting, and I want to dig deeper into like ownership and streaming. Not to get all technical and about the laws and all that type of stuff, but just the mindset about it, which is I'm trying to preach to. Maybe preaching is the wrong thing to do, but I'm trying to show and teach our audience that, I see myself. Oh wait, yeah, I got the free Zoom. I bet a message popped up on my screen. I thought I paid for my Zoom. My credit card must have expired. I'm so sorry. Um, Now I forgot my train of thought. Oh, people ask what are my placements and all this stuff, and I tell them, I'm like, look, guys, I work with $4 billion companies directly. Near
Right.
Protocol, which is in Web3, Sweetwater, which is a $1 billion company, Avid, and Razer, who makes laptops, and they were doing Razer music. And I'm going, why would
Right.
I chase? I'm just saying, for example, why would I chase a Drake if Drake chases Sprite? If Drake chases Adidas, why not work with Adidas directly? Why am I going through Drake? Does that make sense?
And here's what people don't understand because you're 100% right. Here's what people don't understand. The bigger you become in your field of music, whatever you're doing, Drake will find you. You understand? Like, you don't have to look for him. He sees all of that shit. So meanwhile, like after I did El Capo, I didn't reach out to any known artist. Rick Ross hit me to produce a record on his album. Dej Lofat hit me. Um, Off of the shit I did recently with, I think it was with I don't know who I did something for, but Machine Gun Kelly hit me out of the blue. I've never reached out to any of these people before in my life, but because I was doing so much, they paid attention. So to add to what you're saying, why if you were to do the other thing, you'd be going in reverse. Why would you do that? Like you said, you got $4 billion companies around you. Why would you go backwards and go chase an artist? That's probably gonna give you $10,000 for a track. Why? That makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. Unless you want to chase the hype, which really doesn't make any money at this point in time in anybody's life. But you're right. You're 100% right. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. Like I've never chased a signed artist to get a placement on an album. That for what?
Yeah. And I think that's maybe our, what separates our mindset is that we attract based on what we give to the universe, so to speak. When you
Right.
live off of like what you have to create, you create by sowing seeds of energy, if that makes sense. And then it comes back to you eventually. Does that make sense?
Yes. I tell people the more successful you get, and I'll say that with air quotes because I believe success is a whole nother thing, right? But the more success you have, the more you shorten the degrees of separation. So meaning like right now, if it took somebody, they would have to go through 10 people to get to Jay-Z. When your success grows, you might only take 2 people or 1 person, or you got his number direct. You understand? Like when you first come into the game, there's so many people between you and the people that you really need to get to. But as your popularity grows or your success grows, that shrinks to where it's like, okay, cool. I don't have to call 10 people to speak to the president of Sony anymore. I can call him myself, or I can call my lawyer. My lawyer will call him. You understand? It's like, and it works the same way it works. So what you're doing now, you won't see the benefits of it for the next 3 months. But again, the more successful you get, you shorten that time. So it becomes instant. So like if you're Rihanna, if Rihanna does something now, she sees the benefits now. She's that popular. But if an artist that's a tier under Rihanna does something now, it might take a month to kick in. You understand? So that's why a lot of artists get discouraged, because they feel like, yo, I've been putting out all this music this month and I don't really see any response. It didn't kick in yet. Keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like they got the game backwards. They think just because I did a lot of work this month, I should make a lot of money this month. Don't work like that. If you did a lot of work this month, you probably won't see the benefits till December.
That's deep.
You understand? And if you think like that, your work rate will be different. Like, has there ever been a time where, like, let's just say the previous month you was making a good amount of money, then this 1 month hit, and it's like things kind of dried up a little bit, but you're like, I've been working, I don't understand. It's because 2 months before that, you chill for 2 weeks that you forgot about. So now it caught up to you. You understand? So don't look at it like it's going to happen as an artist or producer. If I do something now, I should see results now. That's what the internet tricked us to believe that. Back to the instant shit. You know what I mean? Because of the internet, we think everything is instant. It's not like that. The work you put in now, you will not see the benefits for a few months if you're a new artist or somewhere caught in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Wow, and the more popular you get, you shorten that gap.
Wow, you really helped me connect the dots, as MG the Future would say, about the difference. You know, mindset is like, you know, somebody who has a job or like a secure thing, they get paid every week, every whatever.
Yes.
It's like they don't see the ups and downs. It's the same.
Right.
Whereas people who have to live by what they create, it's like you think like a farmer almost. Wow, that's really deep.
People that make commission, right? When you make commission, you're not going to see it on that same check. If you got mad commission this week, you might not see it till the end of the month when they put all that shit together. It's the same shit. We working for commission in a sense. You understand? So it's like, if we didn't get no sales this week, we might still get some bread from the shit we did 3 months ago, but this week is going to catch up to us down the line. You understand? So it's the same concept.
Right, and like celebrating too early. Since we have 4 minutes left, I'm gonna what is it called? ISO. I'm gonna pass you the rock and let you kind of take this thought into. You could freestyle it however you want, but I really want to tap into again that original mindset, because I saw you live on Curtis King, and then that made me dig deeper. But just helping producers and artists understand what you mean by just ownership and like, you know, what's the value of a stream, like just that mindset of how to think going into the music industry. I think here's my my brain is in gym mode. Oh my goodness. Here's my hypothesis. My thesis is that when iTunes came out, I think they kind of set the standard to where everybody expected music to be 0.99 cents.
Right.
Or $0.99, I mean. So just what's your thought process around music industry? What should change?
I think, honestly, we need a version of Instagram. I don't want to say Instagram. Some social media platform that can be like a union for artists, right? So instead of like your Instagram page, it'll be just your page where we can go to and get everything. If you want to buy your music, if you want to buy your merch, if you want to find out what's going on with you, this is your own personal hub. So when people come there, they stream your music from there, they buy your merch from there. So this way, there's no confusion. My fans are my fans. We know what the numbers are. There's no mistake and there's no nothing. What happens with Spotify and Apple Music and all that stuff, in the midst of your music winning, other music will get promoted on your page to kind of direct the traffic to them. You understand? So it's an unfair playing field that we're playing on. Because again, I make the analogy of it's like playing for a basketball team and you want more playing time, so you go to the coach, and then the coach says go to the owner, and then you go to the owner and come to find out the owner is the coach. The coach and the owner are the same person. You're like, so who am I supposed to speak to? That's what's happening with the record labels and Spotify. It's like, if we needed somebody to protect us from the record labels, we might have went to Spotify, but they're one and the same. Like, who do we complain to when we don't know the price of a song? We can't complain to the record companies because they're in bed with Spotify. We can't ask Spotify because, again, they're in relationships with record labels. So it's like, how do we win? And that was my main concern. And as far as like ownership, the way I look at shit now is, any projects that I do, I have to have enough so that it makes sense for me on the back end. Like, doing one record on an album now is not the same as it was doing one record on an album 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Now it's like, you're going to see nothing that's going to be life-changing off of doing one record on a major album now, unless it's like a Drake or Beyonce or whatever the case is. So for me, the approach I'm taking is either I'm doing a majority of the album or I'm doing the whole album. Like with El Capo, Wasted Talent, Diplomatic Ties, but then again, like what I'm trying to do with Machine Gun Kelly right now, I'm trying to get a project in with him because I feel like that's the only way these things benefit me. And I think if a lot of producers thought like that, it would change the game. And it would teach a lot of quote unquote beat makers how to become producers, because when you work with one artist for a particular project, you have to learn how to produce. It's not just about making a good beat. You have to know what the album's missing. I got to make that. I need this feel, or I need that feel. I got enough of these type of records. Let me make some. You understand? So when you're making one track here and one track there, your mindset doesn't think like that. You think like, let me just give them the hottest beat I got. When you're making an album, it's not about the hottest beat you can make. It's what's going to make this project feel complete and make people want to listen from song 1 to song 15, or song 1 to song, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? It's a different mind frame. So I think that and ownership go hand in hand. If you produce a majority of a project, you're technically like an owner if you negotiate the right percentages. Like with El Capo, I'm 25% owner, Jim is 25% owner, and then Empire had 50 because they gave Jim a huge advance. I took a smaller advance, so I've been making money off El Capo since the first month. And it's been out for 4 years now, and it still makes good money every month.
Oh, darn it. I was trying to signal him that the thing was cut off. Darn it. Darn. Arson, if you see this, my fault. I should have let you know there was a minute left. I'm going to tell him on Instagram, but wow, I'm actually very impressed by his way of saying and articulating exactly what it was. But yeah, he thinks the same about Spotify, how I think about Splice. I'm like, Splice is not here to protect y'all. Somebody could still sign up with a free account, download your stuff under the free trial. Your sounds aren't protected on Splice, even though you go to them for protection. I'm gonna tell them, so sorry, the Zoom cut out. I had the free version. I'll say your message was heard loud and clear. How do you spell loud? Loud and clear. But yes, I'm going to say so sorry again. Thank you. Because I don't want to waste his time either. But I swore I had the paid Zoom. So I apologize, y'all. I thought I had the paid Zoom. When the free message came up where it says you have 10 minutes left, I was like, I thought I paid Zoom. I guess I didn't re-up my Zoom. I must have Zoom webinar or something. I don't know what I'm paying for. I need to double check. But yeah, that's RSONIST, who is the Heatmakerz. And if you don't know, he basically, in one project, single-handedly revived hip-hop in one project. So I just wanted y'all to meet him. RSONIST, if you're watching this replay, understand my bad. I had the free version of Zoom. I didn't mean to. I tried to raise my hand to let you know, but the time ran out. And hopefully he doesn't, think it's the Zoom thing. But I'm gonna end it here. Maybe I can't even guarantee that there's a part 2, but I just wanted to let his message get spread because I thought it was so needed at this time for people to understand, like, you can think differently and still proceed through this industry. I'm not going to eat up any more time. But thank you, everybody. Seymour is here. Mars Moons is here. King Lemuel still here. Beats by Aslan. We got Kanyizi here. We got Hamanshu. Yash Music. Welcome. All right, Beats. Yeah, Superior's here. Johnny Lizard, I saw you. My bad. I like to focus on the conversation and not get distracted by the chat. Because people can tell when you're just reading the chat the whole time. They can feel the energy is off. All right, so I'm going to end it here. Go support him on Instagram. His Instagram is, I'll put it in the chat. Let me pull it up real quick. He says, no prob. Thanks for having me. Okay. Okay, so his Instagram is official Heatmakerz. Official Heatmakerz. Boom. So go follow him. Keep up with this combo. Definitely a person that you should definitely listen to because he understands the deeper realm. He's not just a producer who's like an employee mindset. He's actually somebody I could tell by the way he talks and thinks. He creates the stuff based off of his own merit and his own like energy, which is a whole different mindset than people just begging for work all the time. Okay. So wishing him well, sending him good energy to his family. Let's wish him success and prosperity. The man single-handedly changed hip hop in one project. That's pretty intense for the power to do all that. Okay. I'm going to end this here, but I appreciate everybody. I may go live. What's today? Wednesday? Maybe I'll go live Friday. I have the plaque sitting right over there, the YouTube plaque. But I think we'll go live on Friday.